This is meteorologist Mark Molnar. As always, I want to thank you for joining me for this special edition of Weather Eastern, featuring wintry weather. A major winter storm is upon us. It's got everything from hurricane-force winds, damaging wind, large hail, tornadoes, and it has the tropical side versus the wintry side. Ice storms, blizzard conditions, snowfall, mixed precipitation, everything in between. This storm has been a nightmare to forecast. It's definitely one of those storms you cannot put in any category, and it makes it very difficult to forecast when you have the tropical air clashing against Canadian polar and Arctic blast. So we're not going to waste any more time. We're going to get right into it. There are timestamps down below if you wish to skip ahead. Let's get right into this mess. Take a look at the impact map here with this winter storm. This is insane. From Arkansas all the way up into the northeast. This is freezing rain down in the south, South Carolina, northeast Georgia, North Carolina, snow, freezing rain, and sleet across parts of Tennessee, all the way up the Appalachians, heavy snow. You get into these red areas. This is major to borderline extreme up here in Buffalo, Erie, just around the Pittsburgh area almost, and up into parts of northern New York. Ice and snow will be a concern even as far east as eastern Pennsylvania, upstate New York, and snow into New England here. So let's get into this. This is a real mess. All right, so before we get into the models here, we're going to take a look at what I'm thinking for this storm, my snowfall map. It has changed a bit over the past 24 hours. I still have the big swath of 18 to 24 inches of snow from Erie to Buffalo up to Ontario, Canada. Definitely think now I'm starting to think Pittsburgh's going to get in on the act, probably 14, maybe as much as 15 inches of snow in some of these areas on the backside of the system. We're going to get snowfall rates of 3 to 4 inches an hour in this, especially this red band. Now, here across eastern Pennsylvania, up into the Susquehanna region of upstate New York and the Hudson Valley, there's going to be warm air pushing in as this low moves just west of the Susquehanna River Valley. So we'll start out as heavy snow, and it's going to come down really hard. There's going to be a lot of accumulations, a quick 3 to 6 inches, maybe locally higher, and then we get into the ice. The mid-levels warm up, and we get some sleet and freezing rain moving in Monday morning through about midday, and then some of the valley floors towards noon will change over to rain for a time. But then we'll quickly have a quick dry slot, and then we'll move back to snow later in the afternoon. So we'll add some more to these, add some of these totals up to what we already had. So here across the Poconos, the Catskills, 6 to 8 inches, upwards of maybe 10 inches here in the eastern Catskills. And then we get some heavy icing, and I'll show you that ice map that I'm thinking too, and even 8 to 12 inches here in parts of the mountains here into New England. So yeah, Harrisburg, we're only looking at 2 to 3 inches here before the changeover. Warm air really wins out here. Let's take a look at freezing rain and then the models. All right, now taking a look at ice totals here across the Northeast. I will get into the Southeast with the models because that's a bit more complicated. But across the Northeast, I wanted to zone in on the area that is increasing chances of significant ice or a potential ice storm. And that exists across particularly the Poconos here. This is an area that is going to be a problem, upwards of a quarter to maybe as much as a half an inch of ice, especially across the higher elevations here right around Mount Pocono, stretching southwest and then heading towards the northeast, towards the southern Catskills here. And then over towards Wyoming County, Pennsylvania, so that we have the east of Wilkes-Barre, Scranton in the Poconos, and then we have west and northwest of Wilkes-Barre, Scranton in the Endless Mountain region. In the Wyoming County, Pennsylvania, we could be looking upwards of a quarter to a half an inch of ice here. And we combine wind with this system out of the southeast at 20 to 40 miles per hour with higher gusts. That does not bode well for trees and power lines that are ice covered. And then outside of this range, we have the 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of ice. This is definitely still an area we want to watch as well. Binghamton, Harrisburg, particularly the Binghamton area, upper Susquehanna River Valley. We could be getting into some heavy freezing rain on Monday morning. Taking a look at the high-resolution Euro, we're going to take a look at the surface map for the Northeast. This is Sunday. During the day, high pressure really in control across the Northeast, but look at this. By evening, we break out the snow across Pennsylvania, Ohio, and there's the low pressure on the west side of the Appalachians. Look at that. We're going to start to see one form here closer to Washington, D.C. Let's put that into motion. There it is, 987 millibars. Heavy snow breaking out, 1 to 3 inches an hour on the north side here. Mix here. Harrisburg already mixing with sleet and freezing rain by this time. And look at this line of thunderstorms here just off the coastline here, feeding all this moisture in. 983 millibar low that moves up through the central part of Pennsylvania. And look at this, we get into some very heavy precipitation. There's that band on the northwest corner, 2 to 4 inches an hour. And I'll show you what the models are going to output for snow. And as the low fills into the east, pulls back in cold air later in the day, afternoon hours on Monday afternoon. I did want to show you this dry slot momentarily right around the late morning, early afternoon hours from Binghamton, Wilkes-Barre down to Harrisburg. Have some drizzle, so the valley floor locations will be changing over to drizzle, while we'll have snow to the west, snow and sleet and freezing rain to the east. Some of these pockets in the mountains will be pretty heavy at this time, but there you have it. The precipitation all changes back to snow throughout the afternoon here. So if we take a look here at the southeast, so taking a look, we're going to look at the Euro here, put this into motion. This is Sunday. This is the Sunday storm, Sunday portion of the storm for your Sunday, North Georgia, starting as sleet, freezing rain. Look at this heavy sleet and freezing rain across the deep south here into South Carolina, North Carolina, and all just a complete total mess here across Tennessee, eastern Kentucky, Virginia. This thermal profile is very difficult. We do have severe weather here along the coast. There's that low pressure system. So sleet and freezing rain continues inland here. And look at this. This low pressure for pretty much riding on the east side of the Appalachians here. Severe weather along the Outer Banks here. Tornado threat possible. And look at this. We get up into Virginia. Heavy snow. Look at this. And this is later in the day. And then it heads into the northeast. So there you have it. All right, so we'll take a look at the wintry side of the system. We're going to look at the snow here. Take a look at the Euro, high-resolution Euro. This takes us out through early Tuesday morning. Look at the snow in the Appalachians here, just north of where the freezing rain's falling. Anywhere from 5 to 10 inches in western North Carolina, northeast Georgia, western South Carolina. Look at Tennessee. We're getting in on the act as well, up to Kentucky. And there's that big snowfall total. Wow, I'll show you in the northeast. That's a 29-inch up by Erie, Pennsylvania. And look at this across the northeast. We're getting into this snowfall amounts pretty heavy as well, 6-inch plus in most of these regions. So western Virginia here, West Virginia, the Appalachians. So let's head up. Before we do, we're going to take a look at freezing rain totals here in the southeast. Look at this. This is what I was talking about. This is a problem. In fact, 1.04 inches, 1.08 inches. This is in south central North Carolina, and then we get 1.05 near, this is in northern North Carolina, or South Carolina here. This is just in widespread amounts between 1/2 and 3/4 of an inch here. This is probably going to be an ice storm for the record books for the southeast here. This is going to be power out for not just days, but if this verifies for weeks, this is going to be a really bad scenario here for the southeast. And if you can get a generator or stock up on food, that would be advisable. So let's get into the northeast here. So we'll briefly, there we go. Euro's not really outputting much ice, but I am going to show you the NAM because that is interesting. There is a little concern here in the northeast for icing as well. And if we get into, here we go, snowfall totals here across the northeast, there it is. There's the Euro. Takes us through, there we go, early Tuesday. There's that snowfall amount, 29 inches in Erie County, Pennsylvania, 18 inches Buffalo, 18 to 24 inches likely. We're starting to really fill this in, and I think that 2 to 4 inch an hour band of snowfall will pretty much solidify here on the backside of the system. Is interesting. The Euro is holding tough with keeping snowfall amounts of 6 to 8 inches here from Binghamton to Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. The Poconos, 9 inches, 11 inches, 17, 16 inches here in the Catskills, and even the White Berkshire Mountains here. So this is interesting. The Euro is holding tough with keeping these snowfall accumulations pretty tough across the region, even though there will be some mixing and a dry slot moving in. So there you have it. Right, we'll take a look at snowfall here on the 3-kilometer NAM. So we put this into motion. Yeah, 3-kilometer NAM is really not keeping a lot of snowfall totals here. 2.4 Binghamton, 1.8 Wilkes-Barre. That is a little low. 3.0 in Harrisburg, 4.7 in Syracuse. Something just doesn't seem right here on the NAM, but you have to look at where the NAM's coming from here. I mean, it is pretty accurate over here in Erie County, Pennsylvania, Buffalo, and down in through parts of eastern Ohio here. So what you have to look at what's going on here is the NAM does tend to really catch on to freezing rain scenarios. So let's take a look at the total freezing rain totals here. And this definitely looks pretty disturbing. You do want to ignore over here western New York, western Pennsylvania, because there will not be any freezing rain over here. This is all going to be snow. But take a look at the Susquehanna River Valley, for instance, in eastern Pennsylvania up to Binghamton, New York. 0.28 inches around the Binghamton area. That's a quarter inch. Look at there, Wilkes-Barre. 0.4 of an inch of ice. Look at some 0.92 inches. That's almost an inch there in the Poconos, right around Mount Pocono. And then over towards Wyoming County, Pennsylvania, 0.6 inches. That's 0.6 of an inch. 0.75 of an inch of ice here in the Endless Mountains region of northeast Pennsylvania. If the NAM is on to something, if this verifies and we can hold that cold air at the surface, especially in these higher elevations, then we'll have a serious problem here, and those snowfall totals will be greatly cut down in exchange for ice totals. So we do want to keep an eye on this. I'm not discounting the NAM by any means. This is something we need to be concerned about, and we'll continue to watch here. And if we take a look at the surface map, see where the NAM's coming from here in the northeast, we put this into motion. There's Sunday. High pressure's in control across the northeast. And then we bring in, this is basically a simulated radar. Look at that. Sunday evening, rapidly overspreading the region, snowfall, and then look at this. With these snowfall rates on the backside, but look at this heavy freezing rain. This is just before sunrise, Binghamton, Elmira, Wilkes-Barre. So it switches over pretty quickly in Harrisburg, and you switch over to rain. So you shouldn't have too big of a freezing rain problem down here. You will pick up some 1/10 of an inch, but Wilkes-Barre, Mount Pocono, Binghamton, these are the areas that could have a harder time with this freezing rain. And look how it holds tough east of Wilkes-Barre here, right around Mount Pocono, the Poconos, southern Poconos, Catskills. And I don't think it's going to get up here as far as the New York State Thruway. That's just a little too far north, but look at this. We really sock in with freezing rain on Monday morning. And with the wind speeds the way they are, this could be a problem for power outages. Now you see the dry slot coming in across Pennsylvania. This might be a little bit of the saving grace as it breaks up some of the precipitation. So we have a lull come late morning across the Binghamton, Wilkes-Barre area. But then we start to fill it in later in the day. As the low moves to the east, we start to bring snowfall. So we'll have a flash freeze behind this system. So if we get into the southeast, we'll take a look at the surface map. This is for your Sunday, because this is a Sunday storm across the southeast. There's the simulated radar. Heavy freezing rain continuing across central and western part of North Carolina. Snow in the higher elevations of the Appalachians, and even turning to snow, depending on your elevation here, back through Tennessee, northern Alabama, and Georgia. There's the low. We start to finally switch it over to rain here in Atlanta. But we head throughout the day, and look at that. Freezing rain really holds tough. And heavy snow really forming on the back here, places like Kentucky and central Tennessee here. But look at this. Squall line forming in South Carolina here. And look at that. Throughout the day, freezing rain spreads northward. We finally shut it off here in parts of South Carolina late in the evening. But look at that squall line. That's a tornado possibility, damaging wind, large hail. And look at that. Classic comma-shaped here across the southeast. So if we get into snowfall amounts here on the NAM across the southeast, this is what we have to contend with on the NAM. Pretty impressive here, very similar to the Euro. 1, 2, 3 inches here across the northern Alabama, Georgia area. Outside, just north of the freezing rain area, and the lower parts of the Appalachians here, upwards of 2, 3, as much as 10, 14 inches here in the higher elevations. And if we take a look at the freezing rain, comparing it to the Euro, which I showed you earlier, take a look at this. Put this into motion. There it is, 1.06 inches. This is northeast Georgia, South Carolina, and into central part of North Carolina. And that's ice stretches all the way up. Now, see, west of the Appalachians, I don't really think ice is going to be much of a factor. It's all the way up through this region that we're going to have to watch it. And I just wanted to throw this out to you. This is the National Weather Service total blend of all the models. This is rather interesting because we're still showing a significant amount of snow, even with the ice mixing in across the Susquehanna River Valley of eastern Pennsylvania up to Binghamton area. Still showing almost 6 inches, 3.5 near Wilkes-Barre, and 2.5 near Harrisburg, almost 3 inches. So, and we see still a very 6 to 12 inch range here. Syracuse down to Pittsburgh, and look at that 18 to potentially anywhere from 12 to 24 inches here in some of these redder shadings. So definitely still looking at a very big storm here, despite all this warm air wrapping in from the southeast. All right, so I'm going to show you another side of the system that's really interesting, and it also could make some pretty big damage here. This system is so multifaceted. We're starting off with the NAM 3 kilometer. We're going to take a look at winds. Now, this is, with that exiting system here in the northeast, so winds will be slackening off. But look at, as this storm develops during the day on Sunday, we already start to get wind gusts here in the Appalachians, 30-40 miles per hour. Now these are these are in miles per hour, so you see some of these winds gusts here well ahead of the system. This is Sunday evening, and we'll get into Sunday night. Look at this. Wow. This low pressure, as it moves up just west of the Susquehanna River Valley, look at some of these wind gusts. 60 miles an hour, Harrisburg, 63 and 53 in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton here. And look at this. Along the coastline, we're really going to get in on some of this. So if we get some of this freezing rain, and this brings down some trees and power lines, this is a lot of wind in here. This is going to be a very windy system. And look at this. Long Island, 60 miles per hour. These are, wait till later on Monday here. See how this thing intensifies? These are hurricane force gusts. 87, 92 miles an hour. See that? 95 miles per hour on Cape Cod here. Nantucket, 82. This is extreme amount of wind, and this is going to cause a lot of storm surge, beach erosion, all kinds of problems here along the northeast coast. And then we get a wind field behind the system as well. So this is a component that I am really concerned about here with this system as well. And here we go, John sending in a photo from the snowstorm back on January 7th of this year. 7.5 inches of snow. That was with that coastal system. Nice capture there, John. Look at all that snow in his neck of the woods in Islip, New York. Nice capture. And Robert Stone in his travels took him to my neck of the woods. Here we go, Willow Run Foods in upstate New York, east of Binghamton, New York, in eastern Broome County. Take a look at the light snow that was across the ground. Up Interstate 81 here, there's the dot in just east of Binghamton, New York. And look at those beautiful blue skies across the region, really capturing the essence of a beautiful winter day here across the northeast. So very nice captures, Robert. Thank you as always. Your travels are beautiful. And here we go, your Sunday across the northeast. It will feature high pressure through most of the day. We won't start to see some snow moving in, especially in southern Pennsylvania and Maryland and Virginia, until after about 4 or 5 p.m. It's towards sunset here into after sunset in southern and central Pennsylvania, up to an inch possible. But the big story will be, it will be the only clear day across the northeast, and it will be cold. We will actually warm into the 20s, though, so that is warmer from the previous day. All right, Sunday across the southeast, this is a big old mess I showed you on the models. We got severe weather in Florida, eastern South Carolina, and eastern North Carolina around the Outer Banks, chance of tornadoes, damaging wind, large hail. And then we get into the severe icing side of the system, north of Atlanta, particularly into northeast Georgia, northern South Carolina, and into central North Carolina here. And then beyond that into the Appalachians, and then into Tennessee and Kentucky, we get into the heavy snow and even 1 to 2 inches of snow from Mississippi over to northern Alabama. And here we go for your Sunday night across the northeast. The low pressure really starting to come up from Virginia here, and we start to see overrunning going on. So we'll start out at heavy snow, places like State College, Binghamton, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, and we'll transition over to an icy mix, changing over to sleet and then freezing rain towards daybreak in a lot of these areas. We'll start to climb temperatures throughout the night, so these will be early lows, and then we'll start to bump up through the 20s here into eastern Pennsylvania, and we'll probably see a good shot of 6 to 12 inches of snow on the north side of this Sunday night. So let's take a look. We see the rest of New England will start breaking out into snow as well, and temperatures will be really cold to start off, like I said, but they'll warm up throughout the night. So this is the big story. This is where we get the first shot of snow and then transitioning in the pink zones over to sleet, freezing rain. And we could have some significant freezing rain going on, particularly in parts of Pennsylvania, eastern Pennsylvania, and then eventually up into parts of New York State here. And after that terrible day across the southeast for your Sunday night, we start to wrap the storm up. It's moving way up there on the northeast corner of your screen off of Virginia here. We do have some scattered snow showers behind it in the Appalachians, parts of the Tennessee Valley, down into parts of northern Georgia and Alabama. But we will be clearing out, and it will be a cold night. 27 in Atlanta, 29 in Birmingham, 40 in Panama City, and the warm spot is 59 for a low in Miami. And here we go, Monday across the northeast. The big uncertainty zone is that pink zone, because to the northwest, you see that dark blue from Erie over to Pittsburgh, Buffalo, and especially north of Syracuse here. That's that zone where we could see a foot to as much as locally 2 feet in some of these areas. But in this pink zone, that's the battleground. We got warm air overriding colder air. We got snow. We'll see quite several inches in many of these locations in the upper Susquehanna River Valley before changing over to heavy sleet and freezing rain. And we could get up to 0.2 of an inch of ice, some isolated areas up to 1/3 of an inch of ice possible. And especially we'll have to watch the Poconos and Catskills for that as well. And we get heavy snow all the way up into New England here. So it's going to be a close call for many areas. It'll be very elevation dependent, especially from the I-81 corridor on eastward and the I-80 from east of State College on eastward and southward here. So, and of course, the coastline, we're going to be dealing with hurricane force winds, damaging beach erosion, potential storm surge. So this is just a complete total mess here across the northeast. And for your Monday across the southeast, here we go. Another nice clear day. Maybe some snow showers here in the Appalachians here, the northern and central Appalachians. But for the most part, we're breaking into the 40s, places like Atlanta, Birmingham, Raleigh, Norfolk. And then we get into South Florida where it's 72, nice palm tree, sunny skies, 68 in Houston, and 60 in New Orleans. And for your Monday across the northeast, we have another Arctic front moving in, and that will promote some lake effect snow. A heavier lake effect snow breaking out of places like Syracuse, Oswego area, Utica, New York, and then over towards Jamestown, Chautauqua County, Warren, Pennsylvania, maybe as far south as Erie, Pennsylvania. We could be picking up potentially significant accumulations of at least 3 to 6 inches, maybe locally higher, as much as 8 to 10 inches in some of these more persistent bands, as we could be forming a Georgian Bay connection here, especially off Lake Ontario. Temperatures will be really cold. These are early highs, and temperatures will be falling throughout the day. And here we go, Tuesday. High pressure is in control of the southeast. Temperatures will be on the rebound. Nice temperatures from Norfolk, 43, 64 in New Orleans, 52 in Atlanta, double nickels in Birmingham, and the 77, the double sevens warm spot goes to Houston, beating out Miami at 71. So nice sunny skies here across the southeast. Light winds. Get out there and enjoy. All right, extended outlook for the upper Susquehanna region of upstate New York into northeast Pennsylvania, Binghamton to Scranton. Look at this Sunday, 24 for a high, but we're starting out at -12 in those normally colder valleys. That's a bone-chilling start, but we get into Wednesday night. We'll probably get into about, we're starting into about 3 inches of snow, and then we'll change over to sleet and freezing rain towards daybreak around sunrise, and we'll get into Monday. Sleet and freezing rain, changing to potentially plain rain in the valleys, and then back to sleet and freezing rain and then snow. We'll see up to potentially 0.2 of an inch of ice and maybe another 3 inches of snow, bringing our total to around 6 inches of snow and 0.2 of an inch of ice. That's a lot to contend with here. And then by the time it moves out Tuesday, some lake effect snow showers, and then into Wednesday as well. As always, I want to thank you for joining me for this edition of Weather Eastern, very wintry edition. Don't forget to like me on Facebook, MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, and also MeteoMark.com, WeatherNortheastern.com, and visit me on Twitter at Weather Eastern. Don't forget, in the description down below, there is the link to my winter weather outlook for the rest of this winter weather season. Thank you for joining me.